Well, welcome everyone. And I saw Sapna, she just came in here too. Welcome, welcome. So, for all of us this evening, just sharing some of the different tools for those who are joining live, as well as those who might be joining on the recording. Some different materials you might want to have this evening are paper and something to write with. And if you have colored pencils, just more of an opportunity to express some different thoughts in another way. These are also going to be activities you can share with your students. So everything that we do here is always an embodiment of what we can share with our students too. You will want to have a focused area for as much as we can. We will likely be together for this hour, or maybe just before the hour. We'll see, because it is late at night, we'll see kind of where our group goes. And if you have some kind of rock or stone, you can always have that as well. It is not required. It is just something that if you'd like to engage in that part of our time. And anything else that you need to support your learning, I always have my tea for our time. So for the recording, make sure you have what you need as well. So, officially for our time, this is really a wonderful open to all space for us to connect, where we can connect through our teaching and our leading. We are coming within this space together from various backgrounds. Some of you are in the classroom, some of you are out of the classroom, some of you are in organizations, leaders, teachers. So, this community that we have within Educating Mindfully is really a special network of mindful educators and leaders. And so our goal for this evening is to give you a high overview of mindfulness-based learning, what that is, maybe how that can complement different practices that you're currently doing, and then also share further about how educating mindfully can support you and your goals. And we've been doing a lot of different shifts and updates actually for a while, but really committed this past couple months. So we want to make sure that all of you have what these updates are and how you can leverage our community and the resources that we have for you. For our time together, we like to offer our agreements. And as a reminder, within our education spaces and our classrooms and with our staff, we should be thinking about, okay, am I cultivating this space, and can I offer agreements in the communities that I'm serving as well? So for our time, we have 4 core ones, but there's always an open one for if there's anything else as a community we would like to add. So the first is to listen and share with an open heart. There will be some times, because this is a small community, that we will have opportunities to share. I will likely pause the recording during those times, depending on the conversation, or I might keep it and then I'll take out things if you wish for different content to be more honored into our space. And all voices are heard and valued. Ask questions, stay curious, and see the possibilities. Especially when we're sharing some of the updates or a reframing of how we are talking about mindfulness or talking about well-being and mental health and education. And I'm going to call it out here as well. Some of you may be in communities where even saying social and emotional learning, SEL, may not be as open in your community. So just seeing through possibilities and using our network together for how we can continue to leverage this mindful work and mindful education. And our main engagement, just sharing, will be the chat box. So if you have questions, if you have ideas, you can even just put in the chat box like, can I share something? And then, we can have you unmute and share further as well. So that way, at least we have a routine in place for us for sharing so that all of our voices can be heard. So any other agreements for our space? Let me just go and look through to see if there's anyone else who's able to share, or if it feels okay, just giving a thumbs up. Thank you, Kaylee. Thank you, Liz. And thank you for all of those who are just holding space together. Oh, yes, thank you. Now with the new reactions, right? All right. So, on behalf of our leadership team, and I have to give all of them so much gratitude, it's truly the team that we have and have had within our organization. These people, all of us, they're just such incredible, heart-centered leaders. And I'm grateful to work alongside everybody here, and majority volunteer their time to serve. And it's just incredible to see the impact that we've been having as an organization through this dedicated commitment to the work that we do. So definitely huge gratitude to the team. And within that team, we also have cultivated some resources. And so we wanted to make sure that you have at least one resource that you can walk away with this evening if you don't already have this. For my co-hosts, this is one of the links. So if anybody would like to just pop that into the chat, this is the mindfulness toolbox. And a shout out to Carrie Rohrbach. She's not here with us this evening, but she compiled these resources, and they are actually found from within our Educating Mindfully book. So several authors in here offered really powerful, simple practices. And so Carrie, when she was doing the book study and connecting through here, compiled them for all of us to continue to share. So I want to give her a shout out there. And there's also some different reflection questions. And I believe that was from Barbara Larave's chapter. So that is a resource as a gift for you being here live together with us. But it's also for people who are able to subscribe and join our community. So if you've already subscribed, you may already have that resource. But if not, you get that this evening. And then our path. So we will have that invitational intention. As a community, we want to make sure we embody what we do. So we are educating mindfully, and that is what we do, and that is who we are. So we always invite an invitational practice. We'll connect through our mission and our vision. Then we'll engage in some conversation around our evolving education ecosystem. And you'll notice that we say that often, the word ecosystem, and we'll kind of pull back the reasons why that is such an essential vocabulary word in what we're cultivating together. Then we'll share further about the mindfulness-based learning framework, resources, skill progression, and then also how we support, as I mentioned earlier. And thank you, team, for dropping those resources in there. All right, so as we begin, this is where, if you would like, for our invitational practice, I'm going to share just a couple different backgrounds before we drop in together. One is the image on the right is actually taken out from our framework. And this is where we are connecting to the community that we serve. And it starts with ourself, which is a little bit bigger in that font because it starts back with us, ourself, our staff, our students, our society. And we have that on purpose within the ripples because the ripple begins with us. And that's where this stone, or any stone you have, or just imagining you have a stone in your hand, that's where that presence, this is representing not only the mountain, but then that impact that we have. And basically the script that I'll say, in case you wanted to use this as well as a model, I have that on our screen. And just how simple these short moments can be to connect, but it's integrated into the work that we do. And so moving forward as an organization, this is basically how we begin and end our time together to have this shared experience. So if you wish, I invite you to join me in this invitational practice. And if you have that stone, just placing it into your hands and wherever that feels best, whether it could be on your heart, it could be, just down in your lap, wherever you can focus on you for this moment. And then as we connect within, We first see what's present today with the body, breath, emotions, and thoughts. And there's no right, there's no wrong. It's just seeing what's present here. And then together, we're going to take 4 collective breaths, 1 breath for each ripple. And then to connect us all together, no matter where we are in the world. So go ahead and exhale all the breath from the lungs as you're ready. And taking 1 breath in for ourselves. And exhale. Taking another breath for our staff and colleagues. And exhale. Taking a breath for our students. And exhale. And another breath for society, which includes our families and communities. And exhale. Then just let the breath come back to its regular rhythm. And just being in this moment, maybe setting any other intention for this time, for this day, for this week, or anything else. And then together, we smile with our closing affirmation, and whether you say it in your mind or in your heart, and just committing that we are mindful global citizens. And then if your eyes are closed or looking nearby, begin to let them come back open into the screen, maybe placing that intention stone somewhere where it just brings you back to your why. And feel free, if you wish, to put in the chat if an intention came up, or even just how simple this practice can just shift and bring us where we are at together today. So, our vision. So our group, our leadership team has been spending quite a bit of time connecting with each other within the classroom, our colleagues, our partners. And really, we ask ourselves every year, who are we and what do we do? And is everything in alignment? And this is really what has come up, because we realized, right, that our classroom, it begins in our schools, but the world is our classroom, which is why becoming mindful global citizens has become like this overall why. So we envision an embodied and thriving educational ecosystem where mindfulness-based learning cultivates a world of mindful global citizens. And there are a couple words here as well that we don't always hear yet in education, especially like embodied. But embodied is such a powerful word that there's almost not another word that can describe that. Like our being can describe that, but embodied is how we get to show up and be. And that is the foundation of everything of what we do as an organization. And then again, leaning in on that ecosystem where it's constantly growing, we're constantly evolving. And when we get to our framework, we'll kind of share a bit further about that. Yes, and thank you in the chat too, Kaylee, thank you. And then moving into our mission. And each time our group meets, we always put this into the space and we speak it out loud so that it's just contributing and reaffirming who we are. And Educating Mindfully is a 501c3 educator-led nonprofit dedicated to fostering the mental health and well-being of learning communities through mindfulness-based learning and leadership. We offer learning experiences, communities of practice, mentorship, and resources to grow and advocate for embodied, sustainable systems of care. And most importantly, beginning with adult well-being. Together, we cultivate a more equitable, mindful, and compassionate world. And so, maybe there might be other words that resonate with you. The ones in bold are really our core words that thread this all together. And then the learning experiences, communities of practice, the mentorship and resources. Those are the main avenues that we support your goals. So now moving to the piece of paper and the coloring utensils, if you would like to use them, you do not need to. And again, if you are driving, perhaps you're picturing it in your mind. If you might feel a little bit of the, oh my goodness, Lindsey, I don't enjoy coloring. That's okay too. This is all around just noticing what's there. Can we be fully present with those different types of emotions that come up? Now, the reason why I have us here and thinking about the question is, if you were a tree, and I'm going to put some different thoughts, and I want you to think about you as a tree in regards to if you were to think about how you're teaching, leading your schools, if that were to even be a forest right now. And if you were to be a tree in that forest, given all the conditions that are happening in education, what would that tree look like? Are you a tree that is in a lush forest and you feel supported and you're getting what you need? Are you a twig? Are you, with really deep roots? Are you in a certain season? Are you feeling like the leaves are wanting to fall and are wanting to make room for something new? All kinds of different questions you could be thinking about. So just first think about what this would look like if you were to picture yourself as a tree. And as that inspiration comes, remember, there's no right, there's no wrong. We're just having a visual representation of calling forward any different things that you may be feeling in what you're noticing. Are you in a forest? Are you standing alone? Is there a lot of wind and rain? Is it sunny? How does that feel to you? And I think, let me take a look at our timing. Let's do about a 3-minute draw. And we will go into a breakout room, and you do not need to share. You don't have to hold it up, but you can in your breakout room, and I will stop recording at that time. But take about 3 minutes and can you catch what it is that you're feeling? Oh, yes. And yes, if you have any of your children at home that would like to do that and then engage in this conversation afterward too, please do. Thank you for sharing that. I'm not going to put on music just so that I don't have to remove this, but take about 3 minutes. We'll honor the silence, and we'll come back in about 3 minutes. Take about 1 more minute, and just to get your ideas down, and you can always come back to it later or afterward. And then just notice what's there on your paper once you're at a stopping point. And I'm going to move to starting to create our breakout rooms. I should mention that picture was when I went to Door County this past summer, and it was this beautiful lush forest, and it just, I don't know, and you could just feel that. It feels so good to be in those spaces in nature. Okay. All right, I'm going to open up breakout rooms, and we'll be in our breakout room I have 3 to 4 of you per room. Let's do Would 8 minutes be okay with everybody? That way, there's some time for you to share who you are, to share just some things coming up, and then just a little bit about your tree, what you're feeling, and just letting that come out because there's a lot going on right now. So this is also a way for us to capture all of those different things happening. So let me create the rooms. And I'm going to open them up, and I'll probably be visiting different rooms. But let me go ahead and open that, and I'm going to stop recording. And we'll be back in 8 minutes. Welcome back, everybody. Thank you for sharing. I didn't get to make it to one of the rooms, but it was wonderful to hear so many of the different types of trees and conditions within the trees. And feel free to share either if you want to unmute or if you want to put in the chat, just kind of your noticings. Please feel free because it really was pretty powerful. Or even if you want to put in the chat, like how maybe you can even leverage this activity, whether within your team or if you are leading staff, if there is something that this could help bridge conversations around. And this is embodying, right, these mindfulness-based learning experiences for ourselves as well. So let me just pause for a moment. Did anybody want to unmute or share by any chance? And if not, no problem.
I'll just share quickly that randomly, right, three of us were put together in a room, and all of us are in a new space, and so we all mentioned that our tree, while grounded and rooted and sort of firm in its space, is also a little bit separate from maybe where we have been before when we've been a part of a familiar community, and yeah. So there was an interesting commonality in the three that was lovely to talk about.
Wow, right? It's amazing. It's also reminding me of I'm just going to mention, right, like especially with redwoods, when one of the redwoods gets cut down, then the other ones form a ring around it as like that support. And so like it's something new that then gets like created. Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's amazing. I mean, I'll just kind of share, like there was some people were mentioning like, they have flowers underneath their tree and like supporting their students. Some have been in a forest fire that they're starting to come back. Some that feel that their leaves are falling. Some that have a small base, but then like so many leaves up top, and like there's just a variety, willows, pine trees, maple trees, and how all of us are a part of the forest. And it's very intentional that I'm using trees because, again, the ecosystem space. But it's just amazing to think about all of the things that we support through our leadership and through our teaching, and just knowing that we are a part of the bigger ecosystem. So let me jump back in to the slides. And I wanted to just acknowledge too that I've been having a lot of conversations, which I'm sure some of you feel too, that sometimes it feels like the storms are there too, that there are storms within the ecosystem. And the one on the left was actually from when I was in a hurricane. I'm not going to play it, but everything is windy and rain, and interestingly, the scientists have been studying that you need the wind and you need the rain in order to build the resilience, because the more the wind blows, the deeper the roots grow. And also the trunk of a tree becomes firmer through that resilience building. And so I wanted to acknowledge that although there may be a lot of storms that some of us are feeling, and naming that here in any different kinds of capacity, knowing that also how nourishing that rain and that water is, and how, some of you mentioned the forest fire or even flooding, and it needs to start again. That ecosystem is still there. It just looks different as it starts to grow in another way. So, one of our resources we actually have these embodiment cards, and one of these cards I have as a screenshot on there, and it's called No Matter the Wind. And since we have been sitting for a little while, if you are able to, I will invite us to stand, just again to connect to everything within our practice together. But on this card, actually, I'll point here. You have in our framework, which I'll be sharing in a minute, a couple minutes, is the competency space. So mindful self-regulation. Then you have an intention word. And then this basically becomes a script that you can share primarily with ourselves as adults, but these can easily be adapted for our students who we're serving, no matter their age. And then every card at the end, it says, like how we had our ripple, the I am a mindful global citizen. It's that recommitting every single time. Okay, who are we and why are we doing what we do? And then every card at the bottom, it's not just one practice and done, put it back in the box. It's how does this extend throughout all of the ripples from our self, staff, student, society? So I will invite you, if you would like, to stand just for a short practice. And all what this is going to invite us to do is a small tree pose. But just to feel what this feels like, right? We've embedded an experience. We then can integrate it into the body to then create what can be for us in the future. So I'm going to go ahead and read our card here. No matter the wind. Moving the body with intention can shift your mindset and change an experience. When you notice the wind blowing in life, become a tree, grow your roots, and bring yourself back into balance. So step one, we're going to stand with your feet, shoulder width apart. Step two, finding a focal point nearby. Step three, imagine growing your roots deep into the earth. Step four, press one foot into the ground and place your opposite foot on your ankle or your calf into a tree pose. Maybe you actually extend your branches if you wish. And step five, pause, breathe, and focus on resiliency. And then opposite side, growing your roots, growing your branches, choosing what kind of tree we can be. Back to step five is pause, breathe, and focus on resiliency. And together we say, I am a mindful global citizen. Letting both of your feet come back to the ground, just pausing and noticing. And just thinking about how this can support yourself, staff, students, and society. Taking any other moment here and eventually transitioning back to our space, back to our chair. Knowing that we are the resilient forest. So to support with the forest and our resilience, we need to be shifting how we're sharing our learning, because things need to shift. And many of you are on this path. Many of you have started engaging in the mindfulness-based work in some way. But some people are not yet there, and you get to be like that guide. You get to be that person, that change maker in your community. And so hopefully these resources can help you take small actions. Even these cards, it's a small action. Thank you, Kaylee, for putting in the chat. She shared, like, the shift from the storm is real, and sometimes we need a good storm to clear out the stagnant energy, our stagnant space, so we don't even realize is hanging around. Exactly. So mindfulness-based learning is an embodied way of teaching, leading, and being across all domains in education. I want to mention, we originally were calling this mindfulness-based social emotional learning. We ended up shifting that because mindfulness-based learning occurs not just during social and emotional learning. You can be learning mindfully during literacy. You could be learning mindfully during executive functional skill development. So we created more of this broad space in social emotional learning. If that is a space in which you are able to share and speak into your communities, that is still a part of the umbrella. And if your communities are shifting to the mindfulness-based resiliency, that's all what this is connected to. So I wanted to name that word shift and why, so that it allows it to encompass more. And it focuses on the well-being of the whole self and whole learning community through cultivating awareness, connection, regulation, and our equitable decisions. So as I mentioned, just giving you a visual, like mindfulness-based learning is that main umbrella, and then everything else is a part of it. This itself is the framework. So it's not just, a table or a chart. The framework itself is the ecosystem. And just giving you a bit of a walkthrough of what this is. And in our micro-credential program, we go deeper into this, but also throughout the year, we're going to break it down because each thing that we offer each month is going to align to one component within this framework. So as you continue learning with us this year, we break this down bit by bit, piece by piece, so that you can start to integrate this. So this is just planting the seed here. So when you're looking at this, the sky itself is mindfulness-based learning. That is what is like the container of everything. And you'll notice then the sun is embodiment, because embodiment is naturally cultivating itself. So the sun is naturally producing what it can to sustain the environment. If we don't embody the skills, then it's just a lovely experience of teaching and sharing, and then it's not really sustainable. And then students learn something and then they don't know it the next day. So unless we have the embodiment, it's just detached learning. So that's why the sun is representing embodiment here and makes everything else function. Then I want to bring our attention to the raindrops. The raindrops are a doing. So just like how the rain is an action, these are our practices. So when we have our well-being practices, our culturally affirming and equitable practices, the trauma supportive practices, and then explicit and embedded teaching practices, those are the doing aspects. And you'll see how that rain then drops into the ripples, because we are the ones that are doing that. And it starts with us, but eventually when we can have our students, our staff, our society, when they can have the well-being practices naturally embodied into their life, and they can have those different practices in all that they do, then they get to be even more of a ripple. Now that water then goes out to the trees, and that's what nurtures the root system. So all of those trees are essentially our being through, you'll notice mindful is on each of those trees on purpose. And the emotional intelligence through the CASTLE competencies and emotional intelligence in general, we kept asking as a leadership team what was missing. And the missing piece is the connection. We need the awareness. And like when we have self-awareness, social awareness, self-management, that's like starting space. And what moves us is that connection with intention and that why. And you'll notice also, you can start anywhere on this framework, but if you do notice, there is that movement from left to right, from that self-connection and self-regulation, just like within our competencies, within Castle's guidance as well, and other guidance. They work together. And then mindful decision making and mindful social connection, all of that helps us to grow. And then it can stay in that ecosystem, it can stay in education. But what we hope happens is that it becomes so embodied, so a part of who we get to be, that then advocacy is that next step. And we can then advocate into the world, not just within education, that our students are able to integrate this into their soccer game or baseball game, how some of you had mentioned you're in a baseball game right now. And then that goal of becoming mindful global citizens. So that's how you generally can read this. There's a reason why it's watercolor. It's not concrete. It's not black or white or one path. It's an ecosystem. It's always growing. And even with presence, that's grounding everything in the center at any vantage point we can take. And that is just what allows things to be. Feel free to put in the chat anything. I know it's a lot, but again, these are seats, so don't worry about feeling like a lot. This here is the basically it's a skill progression of how we move from that concrete space of awareness into that mindfulness-based learning. So it looks at the Castle competencies and how it parallels with that and then intersects with it to like the next space. So we offer that, and you can find that on our website. And then just mentioning again, for a visual piece, it's a bridge. We need each of these aspects together, and they go back and forth. From awareness then to connection, and something that becomes sustainable in the ecosystem. I'm just going to put this in this space for a moment, and just knowing that we're taking any of these spirals that we're noticing in education and shifting the spiral into the ripple, so that when we focus as adults on the adults supporting the ecosystem, we're creating that regulation for our students. And so much of the research has shared only on students. So the more research that comes, the more it continues to point towards the necessary aspect of the adults cultivating that space. And just because I know some of our timing here, I want to jump to a couple different pieces. So one is, we were founded in 2018, and the intention of that space was, how can we support the mental health and well-being of the adults through mindfulness and SEL? From that founding space from Tracy Heilers, we then eventually created our program, which is the micro-credential program. And that is something that's more of a one-of-a-kind experience for you to really deepen your practice, that's grounded in the embodiment, and it's self-paced, and it really helps you to integrate this as a way of being in your teaching and leading. Last year, we developed the framework for this guidance, and that brings us to then this year, where now it's like, how do we take all of these things and how do we put that into practice? And how do we do that with support? And that's where we come in. And so there's these two areas that really, as we keep saying over and over again, that presence and embodiment are really those two core spaces that allow us to keep the ecosystem moving and growing. And so with these last couple of pieces, just so you can see the layering of support, also offer our Voices blog. This is open to all the time. It's on our website. And so our members, our leaders, our partners, people who are really into our field and steeped into this work are authors of these. So we are educators and we are leaders and we are guiding all of us together in our practices. And so you can then find the Voices blog that directly connects to the circle, directly connects to the LearnCast. All together works in the way that works best for you. And within that blog, by then you've embodied it. Well, how does that look in the classroom? That's where our lesson inspiration helps guide you to see how can all of those framework pieces work together? How can all of those different pieces look like in my classroom, in my colleagues' classroom, in the different levels that there may be? And the beauty of these skills is that they can easily be adapted into the work that you're doing and the students that you're serving across content areas. So you will find that these are directly linked into the blog. Now, these are only available for our members, but again, this upcoming one will be available to all, just so you can see how that feels for you. Well, what I'll say is if you have your stone, we'll do 4 collective breaths just to close. And like I said, I will stop the recording. And then if any of you have extra questions, I will be last to leave. Yes, thank you, Liz. So go ahead and grab your stone or imagine you have one. And just so we can reconnect to ourselves as that mountain and the ripples, we'll take 4 collective breaths, exhaling everything out from the lungs. Taking a breath in for ourselves. And exhale. Another breath in for our staff. And exhale. Another breath in for our students. And exhale. And finally, taking another breath in for society, including families and communities. And exhale. Letting that ripple continue. Letting your breath come back to its regular rhythm. And having gratitude for the impact that we all have here in our mindful education and the work that we do. And coming back as we're ready. Enjoying the rest of our evening. And thank you again for all that you do. Bye. Thank you all.